Hello, sissies, gays, and theys, and perhaps if you're watching today's video, even straights. Um, Today's video is kind of off the cuff. As I was scrolling social media this morning, as one does when they wake up, um, and I saw something sports related. And normally, if that were to ever happen in my personal life and in my personal world, I just keep scrolling, cause you know. But but I happened to actually like stop and read, and it was about an athlete that did a press conference a after of after a game. I don't know, y'all. I don't know, but apparently this athlete named Casey Concepcion. I hope I'm saying that right. If not, I'm so sorry. Um, who is an athlete in the NFL. Um, Combine, y'all. I don't know. Just bear with me. Just bear with me. So anyway, um, so apparently he plays for Texas A&M, which that's a that's a college football team, right? Okay, so maybe he's like hoping to be in the NFL. If people like know football, can you like let me know if I'm right or tell me exactly? Um, but I guess he's doing a press conference, and Casey is someone that has a stutter, and apparently there was like a lot of mockery and negative backlash to him. Um, you know, actually stuttering, and I want to talk about that, and I also want to read his statement, and so I'm gonna talk about it first because this actually kind of brings up, topics that I've talked about in my last two videos. If you haven't seen those, please go and visit them after watching this. Please subscribe and share. Um, that'd be lovely. So, in connection with the other two videos, I speak from my own experience about being a person that has a stutter and what that has like been like in my life journey so far. And I speak about high school, I speak about school, I speak about family, right? And it's one of those things where like it's a weird dichotomy of like we're we're always told like high school isn't the end, like you're gonna go and live your life, and obviously that's that is a reality, but it's like people don't get out of that high school state of mind or that mentality where like people are just mean. And I also think like post COVID, like the world, people do not know how to interact with each other. Like it really is like night and day in terms of how we respond to each other, how we interact with each other, especially on social media. It's gotten a lot worse. Like people are just mean for the sake of being mean, and you know, to me personally, it's not really surprising given how the state of the country, how the state of the world is. Like it's currency to be mean, to belittle and tease people that are not like oneself. And, it's things like this that I'm just like, oh, like, this is just like people being mean for the sake of being mean. And, you know, when I think of football, when I think of the NFL, right, I think of like this multi-billion-dollar industry that, about peak American masculinity, uh, peak athleticism, and like also like just perfection. Like there's no room for error. And I say there's no room for error because that means everything. It's like to be masculine is to be, an ideal. When you speak with with authority. You don't say you don't stutter. It's confidence, right? And I speak about this in one of my other videos actually of how like a lot of people assume that people that have a stutter are anxious, which can be a part of it. But you know, there's contention on whether stuttering is a disability or not, particularly within the stuttering community, if we see it as a disability or not. For me personally speaking, from my experience and no one else's, my own life experience, honestly, I fluctuated on whether I feel like it is or not. I definitely can see how, it is, and also, like, I don't necessarily think about it as that all the time for myself. But I definitely can see why it is considered that by people, um, and how it should be considered that by the larger culture. But that's a whole other video that I can talk about if y'all want. But I think with him being in that press conference, you know, um, being in, you know, the pinnacle of American masculinity, uh, sport, football, and him talking, like, oftentimes when I see those press conferences like that, the men are very confident, they're very assured of themselves. And I think when people stutter, when people have a stutter, people act like it's anxiety or they lack confidence. I'm like, and even just like reading the headline, and like, I don't even know this young person's story, but like, clearly he is confident if he's able to, like, you know, be a college football athlete that the NFL um, sees potential in for their future. Um, yeah, that's a huge deal. And, he's probably worked really hard to get to this point. And, he was probably really excited to be there and to answer questions. And it's really disheartening and disappointing that, like, I'm assuming mostly adults are, like, receiving him in a very, like, mocking high school way instead of with compassion. um which I said before, it seems like it's a very, like, limited quality in our culture right now within people. So I'm not really surprised. It's just really disheartening. And you know I'm so happy that he responded. I think that's like a really courageous thing, and not even courageous, like, in just the blurb that I read, like, I think he knows that he has a responsibility, especially in college football or in the NFL, whichever one he's in, right? Or if he has a possibility to be in the NFL, like, there's representation there that I haven't seen. And so if there is, please let me know. But I haven't seen that. I haven't heard people talk about it in the past when it comes to NFL or sports in general. Again, maybe there has been, and I would love to know if there are any athletes that have a stutter. Currently active players or past. I think that'd be really cool to know for myself. And so I just think it's really awesome that he's being an advocate not only for himself, which is really important, but for, you know, people like me, um, for kids. I just think that's really cool. And so I want to read his statement. I'm going to pull it up on my phone and read it to y'all. He posted this on Insta. And so he says, I just want to say something. if you have a speech impediment, there's nothing wrong with us. I have had this stutter since I can remember. Talking this way is a part of me. This is who I am. I cannot control this. I want to be a role model for those who may be scared to speak up, who may be afraid and not confident in yourself. I stand with you this weekend. I stand with you. This weekend has taught me a lot about myself and people out here in this world. I appreciate everyone who supports me and has reached out to me after these interviews. Don't let an outside person's thoughts, opinions get in the way of you being great, of you achieving something in life. I am blessed to be in the position that I am in, and I want to help give back to those who are scared to speak up, who aren't as confident. I stand with you. I will always stand with you. We are different for a reason. God has blessed my life in a way I couldn't even imagine in this past year. I love y'all and support y'all as we climb this mountain together. Hashtag stop the negativity. I just think that's so awesome. And again, like, congrats to him on his success thus far. Uh, congrats, you know, just for standing up for what he knows is right, for what I know is right, for what people with like common decency and common sense know is right. And so I'm excited that, the stuttering community has more representation, and not just like more representation, but like representation that like someone is unabashedly like not afraid to show off their stutter. And like he said, it's a part of us, it's who we are, but it in no way uh defines us, the things that we are capable of. And so again, I think, when we're talking about a multi-billion dollar industry, whether it's college, let's be honest, whether it's in college or whether it's the NFL, like these multi-million, multi-billion dollar organizations or industries that really could be shaken up a bit, could be woken up a bit, to things that are not necessarily talked about, that people don't really know about. And, I think that's something too where, I think within the negativity of the situation, I think honestly, some people just don't know much about stuttering. I think a lot of people don't really know a lot about stuttering. And so I hope this event um, lets people be curious about what having a stutter is, do some research on him, do some research on stuttering, just to like open your mind a bit. Because, like I said, like we are in high school, and I think people think that, you know, that learning kind of stops after you go to college. And for me, what I know for myself is learning is a lifelong process, especially when it means that I'm in connection with other people. um, I never want to stop learning. I want to learn about other people, about other cultures, about their way of life, about what makes them them. And this is a part of Casey's life. It's not all of him. And so I just wanted to come on and speak about this. Today, um, wow, I'm kind of like blown away, y'all, because I would not think that I would talk about sports ever. But here we are, Again, I guess this is my own learning curve. Um, but yeah, I just want to talk about that. If you want to watch or hear more content about the stuttering community, pop culture, mental health, this is the channel to do so. I am the Stuttering Sissy, and I hope you subscribe, share, comment. If you want to give me more information about football, I welcome it. But I hope you all have a wonderful day. Find joy out there. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.